Page number 123 of chapter 9, Things Around Us. In this interactive video session, we are going to learn about the other characteristics of living things, such as this is the sixth characteristic of living beings or living organisms. Living things put out waste. This is called the excretion. The excretion process in animals, we have to learn. The excretion in plants. Under this topic, we have to learn what is the process of excretion and the mechanism of excretion in animals as well as in plants. The seventh number characteristic of living organism is living things can reproduce, or this is called the reproduction system in living organism. Under this topic, we have to know the meaning of reproduction. Thereafter, we have to know the reproduction process in animals as well as plants also can reproduce themselves. Reproduction in flowering plants, the method, and the method of non-flowering plants. The another characteristic is living things take birth, grow old and die. Under this topic, we have to learn two important terms, such as what is the meaning of life cycle and what is the meaning of lifespan. Then we have to know the different lifespans of the different animals. And there are also two another characteristic of living organisms, such as living things have the definite shape and size. And the last one is that living things, all kind of living things are made up of the unit cells. This is called the basic unit. The cells are called the basic unit of the living organisms. And this is the last discussion of this chapter. In our next class, we will start the new chapter of your second term examination. Now it is the time for detailed discussion of the process of excretion. First, we have to know the meaning of excretion. How can we define the excretion? Generally, we can say that excretion, it is the process of putting out the waste product from the living organism body. What is excretion? It is the process of putting out the waste product, and the waste product may be of three kinds: solid waste product, liquid, or the gases. And putting out of these three different kinds of waste products from the living organism's body is called the excretion. Now we have to know what is the meaning of waste. Simply we can say waste are those products which are unused in the living organism body. I repeat once again, wastes are those products which are unused in the living organism's body. To speak specifically, we can mention that mainly the roughages are the unused food, and these unused roughages foods are called the waste products in the living organism body. We know that all living organisms, mainly the animals, take food, water, and the air, and a part of food is used within the body. But the bigger part of that food taken by the animals remains unused. And this unused roughage type of undigested food is called the waste product. And this waste product is expelled from the body in form of fecal matter or the droppings. This fecal matter is called the waste product that is expelled out from the body of the living organism, especially from the body of the animals. I hope the meaning of excretion, the process, and the meaning of the waste product is clear now. Now we have to know that there are how many types of waste products in the animal body: solid, liquid or gas. Solid waste, liquid waste or the gas waste. Mainly the feces or the roughage or any kind of unused, undigested food material is called the solid waste. And the liquid waste are mainly the urine and the sweat in the living animal body, and mainly the carbon dioxide is the gas waste product. Now we have to know the mechanism of expelling out or putting out of these different kinds of waste products: the solid, such as feces, liquid, urine and sweat, and the gas or the carbon dioxide. First, we are going to discuss about the expelling out or the putting out of the solid waste products in form of feces from the body of the animal. When the animal take in the food is the solid material, and it gets digested, but some part of it remains unused and undigested, and this undigested and unused solid material, that is called the solid waste, get expelled from the body of the animal, and this is called the fecal matter or the droppings. This is the solid waste that gets expelled from the animal's body. Now the second case is the waste material called the urine and the sweat. The urine and sweat, these are the liquid waste materials that are expelled out or the put out from the body of the animal. It is important to note that the liquid wastes are mainly the urine and the sweat in the animal body. When water is taken in the body of the animal, it gets into or goes to the blood circulation, and it circulates through the body along with the blood, and this blood and water runs through the body and collects some dead cells and the waste materials present in the body that come out of the body in form of urine and the sweat. And these liquid wastes, urine and the sweat, mainly the urine, is filtered out of the blood through the organ that is called the kidney. I repeat, the urine, the liquid waste, it is filtered out of the blood through the which organ? Answer is kidney. And sweat is filtered out or expelled out from the body through which organ? Answer is skin. Now the last one is the excretion of gas from the animal body. Gas means mainly the carbon dioxide. We know that in the process of respiration, the food item is oxidized in the presence of oxygen, and they gives the carbon dioxide and the energy. That means respiration, it is the process in which food gets oxidized in the presence of oxygen, and carbon dioxide and energy is released, and this released energy then is utilized by the living organisms in order to perform the different life-based activities. But the carbon dioxide gas, this is the gas waste material, and this carbon dioxide is a waste product in form of gas, and this needs to be expelled out or pushed out of the body. And mainly this carbon dioxide gas in form of waste product is expelled out or pushed out from the body through which organ? In animal's body, through the lungs. In fishes, it is through the gills, and the process is called the breathing process. It is called the process of exchanging of gases, oxygen gas and the carbon dioxide gas. I hope that the process of excretion in animals is clear. Now we are heading for the excretion in the plant's body. Once again, in the plant's body, the waste products are in three different forms: gas waste product, solid gas waste product, and the liquid waste product. Transpiration, it is the process in which the excess amount of water gets lost from the body of plant. In form of the water vapor. And this is called the excretion of liquid from the body of plant. But you have to remind the process is called the transpiration. It is the process that is involved in the loss of excess amount of water from the plant's body. And secretion, it is another process, and that is involved to expel out the solid waste product from the plant's body, such as in form of gum, rubber or latex, etc. These solid waste products get expelled out or pushed out from the plant's body, and the process is called the secretion, but not the transpiration. Transpiration, this is the process involved in the expelling out of the excess amount of water. This is a liquid waste product. But secretion, it is the process involved in expelling out of the excess amount of waste product in form of solid waste product, such as gum, rosin, rubber or latex, etc. And it is very important to know that these secreted waste solid products are very useful for man. Generally, the food we eat is the secreted waste product of the plants that we use or eat. The last one is the gas waste product of the plant body, and this is called, once again, like the animals waste product, the carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is treated as the gas waste product in both the plant body as well as in the animal body. Carbon dioxide, this gas waste product, is produced during the process of respiration in the plant body in form of the gas waste product. This is the gaseous. Mainly during the daytime, the carbon dioxide is reused in the process of photosynthesis. And we know that process of photosynthesis is the process of making food. And during this process of photosynthesis in the daytime, the carbon dioxide that produced during the respiratory process is reused. But at the night time, this carbon dioxide comes out of the plant body through the general surface, but not the stomata. Stomata, these are the open pores that helps to expel out the carbon dioxide. But one thing we should know that during the night time, the stomata, these are closed at night time in most of the plants. Hence, at the night time, we can say that through the general surface, the carbon dioxide, the gaseous waste product, is given out during the respiratory process, and it comes out of the plant body through the general surface, but not through the stomata. In daytime, stomata are open, but in night time, stomata are closed. All kind of non-living things do not excrete, but the animals and the plants do excrete. Now we have to know what is the process of reproduction. In a simple word, we can say reproduction, it is the method of reproducing or giving birth to young ones similar to their parents. I repeat, what is reproduction? Reproduction, it is also the characteristic of all living beings or living organisms, and reproduction is said to be the process of giving birth to the new young ones which are similar to their parents. And the main purpose of the process of reproduction in all living organisms is to multiplying in number. And it is an essential process to help in continuation and in multiplication of the species in number. Thus, we can say that this reproduction process is very necessary or helpful in terms of survival of species. That means through this reproduction process, all living organisms survive in this world. Now we have to know the mechanism of reproduction in animals and as well as in plants. The question is, how do the animals reproduce themselves? The answer is either by giving birth to the new younger ones or by laying eggs. I repeat once again that animals do reproduce themselves either by giving birth to the new younger ones or by laying eggs. Now, what are the names of the different animals that reproduce themselves by giving birth to the young ones which are similar to their parents? The answer is such as man, monkey, rat, cat, dog, deer, horse, goat, sheep, etc., tiger, lion, etc. These are the animals, elephant, which give birth to young ones in their reproduction. And one thing is very important to remind that through the process of reproduction, the young ones which are reproduced are similar to their parents. For example, a mother cat gives birth to a kitten, a cow gives birth to a calf, and the sheep gives birth to a lamb. And this is also another important term, that is what is the meaning of viviparous animals. Mainly viviparous animals are those animals that give birth to young ones and feed their young ones on the mother milks. Mind it, mother milks. These are called the viviparous animals. That means viviparous animals reproduce themselves and feed their young ones on their mother milks. Examples: man, monkey, cat, etc. Now, what is the meaning of oviparous animals? Oviparous animals are those animals that give birth by laying eggs to reproduce themselves. I repeat once again, oviparous animals are those animals that lay eggs to reproduce themselves, and they never feed their young ones on their milk. They reproduce themselves by laying eggs. But viviparous animals are those animals which give birth, which reproduce themselves by giving birth to the young ones and feed their young ones on the mother's milk. Now, what are the examples of the oviparous animals? Such as birds, lizards, snakes, frogs, fish, etc. Insects including. These kind of oviparous animals lay eggs, and the chickens comes out of its egg. That finally grows into a hen or the cock. This is the example of hen. Hen is the example of oviparous animal because hen lays egg, and on hatching, chickens come out from its egg, and finally which grows into a hen or a cock. This is the mechanism of the reproduction in animals. Now we are going to learn about the reproduction of the plants. We know that all kind of plants are categorized into two broader groups. Number one, flowering plants, and the another one is the non-flowering plants. Now, what is the process of reproduction in the flowering plants? The answer is seed, through seed. The flowering plants reproduce themselves by the germination of seeds. But the non-flowering plants reproduce themselves by producing the spores, not by seeds. These flowering plants, which reproduce themselves by the production of seeds, now this is the diagram of the germination of seed. The flower-bearing plants bear flowers, fruits, and seeds. And we know that each seed bears a baby plant. And the process of germination is, on sowing a seed in the soil, the baby plant grows and come out of the seed by giving rise to a new plant. And this new plant that comes out of the seed is similar to the mother plant. And this baby plant that comes out of the mother plant is similar to the mother plant. This comes from the seed. Seed is for the flowering plants, but spores are used for the non-flowering plants for their reproduction. Now, non-flowering plants may also reproduce themselves by producing not the seeds but the but by the spores. I repeat, like the flowering plants, the non-flowering plants may also reproduce themselves, not by producing the seeds, but by the spores. Now, what are the examples of the non-flowering plants that reproduce themselves by producing the spores? The answer is algae, fungi, mosses, ferns, etc. These spores gets germinated to produce the new plants. Therefore, we can say that for the flowering plants, reproduction is done by the production of seeds, but for the case of non-flowering plants, spores are produced, and through producing the spores, the reproduction is done in the non-flowering plants. Then all kind of non-living things do not reproduce. Now, the another characteristic of living organism is that living things or living organisms take birth, grow old, and die. There are two important terms that we should know: the meaning of life cycle and the meaning of lifespan. What is the meaning of life cycle? This is the cycle of taking birth, growing old, and finally die. It is called the life cycle. We know that all living things take birth, grow old, and die. One day they will die. Before death, all adult living things or living organisms reproduce themselves by giving birth to the young ones. And the cycle, the life cycle, it is true for all animals and the plants. That means one day that takes birth, grows old, and finally die. This is called the life cycle, and this life cycle characteristic is true or universal for all animals and the plants. And these cycles of life go on and on. I repeat once again, what is life cycle? This is the cycle of taking birth, growing old, and die of the living things. Now, what is the meaning of life span? This is the time period for which an living organism remains alive. I repeat once again, what is the meaning of lifespan? It is the time period for which an organism remains alive. And all living organisms have the average lifespan. Now we have to know the different average lifespans of the different animals, such as housefly. The average lifespan is 1 to 4 months. The bird average lifespan is 2 to 3 years. For rat, average lifespan is 3 to 4 years. For dog, 10 to 15 years. Tiger, 25 years. Horse, 25 to 30 years. Crow, nearly 50 years. Man, 65 to 80 years. Elephant, 70 to 90 years. And finally the tortoise, the average lifespan of tortoise is 120 years to or up to 150 years. These are the few mentioned average lifespan of the different animals. And all non-living things do not have the definite lifespan. Clear? And the lifespan, the average lifespan of the mosquito is only 7 days. The another characteristic of the living organism is that they have the definite shape and the size. And the last but not least about the important characteristic of living organism is that all living organisms or things are made up of the units called the cells. Cells are called the structural and the functional units of all living organisms. That's why these are called the basic unit of all living organisms. And generally the cells are too small in size and are generally not seen with the naked eyes, but they can be seen through using the magnifying glass or the microscopic glass or under the microscopic eyes. I hopefully can say that the information was informative about this chapter. In our next video, we will learn about the another new chapter of your second term examination. Thanks for watching this video.